morning, Yankees fans. Welcome to the Pinstripe Chronicles. It is a fine Wednesday afternoon. Baseball is back. Spring training pitchers and catchers have officially reported. Today is the first team workout that is open to the public. It is free for admission if you're in Tampa. Go check it out. I'm your boy Robinho, and I'm joined here by my brother from another mother, Donald. Uncle Tats has got some work stuff to take care of today as the Northeast is getting blasted with a a snowstorm. So hopefully everyone is good up there in the Northeast. It's cold, I hear, but anyway, what's also cold is the Yankees' third base situation because they are apparently going in-house. That is what the reports are for now, unless something changes in the next couple of months or next month or so before we get to opening day. Yankees are going to go in-house. I know we don't like it, but that seems to be the case. The Yankees are going to go with the in-house options, guys like Cabrera, Peraza, maybe Vivas gets a shot, and of course that $15 million waste of space is still being talked about as a really big option. So I want to give a quick shout out to the chat. We've got Pops in the chat. He says, good morning, my son. Morning, Donald, and everyone. Good to see you, Dad. John the Beagle Dad is saying you need a new background. It's up to Donald, not up to you. Raziel, the man himself, in the chat saying get those likes up. So do what he says. Pay the plug. Hit that thumbs up. FJ, Norman Soto, and of course, as usual, Jonathan, bright and early. So good to see everybody. And Lou. What's up, Lou? Good to see you in the chat. So, Donald, I'll throw it to you. Just first thoughts. You told me before we went live, you got some stuff you want to get off your chest. So I'll give you the floor before we get into these projections and our picks for the third base spot.
No. We're just going to go into third base. I do want to pick up on the fact that people are going after, like, for instance, Aaron Boone for bigging up the current third base options. What choice does he have? Like, real talk, what choice does he have? What's he going to do? Blame his bosses for the fact he doesn't have a third baseman? The bosses are the only reason why he's hired. The only reason why he's still here after, 8 years of failure. So, real talk. Let's be honest. We haven't won a World Series since he's come here, right? What other organization with any expectations would still be as forgiving, right? And what other organization that's contending for a World Series would be quite happy to go into this situation at third base with DJ LeMahieu? What are we doing? Oh, well, DJ LeMahieu, he's healthy. Well, I should hope so. Jeez, he didn't play last year. He's had plenty of time. He's had the whole offseason to get healthy. Oh, he's healthy? That's not Aaron Boone speaking. That's Jason Zillow speaking. That's the Yankee PR speaking, right? We don't know if he's healthy or not. He's not going to come out and say he's not healthy, is he? No, real talk. He's not going to come out and say he's not healthy, right? The next thing we're going to hear, and it's going to be it's going to be a week or two in the spring, where he's going to say this is the best DJ's looked in 3 years. Well, I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting for it because that's the next one coming. That's the next one coming. But I'm negative. But just wait because that's the next one we're coming because all we hear every year, this is the best such and such has ever looked in 3 years. This is the best Josh Donaldson's looked. This is the best Aaron Hicks has looked in 5 years. This is the best DJ LeMahieu's looked in 5 years. PR bullshit. I love the smell of bullshit in the morning.
This is, I believe, the fourth consecutive camp that's opened up with DJ looks healthy. He looks good. We're excited what he can bring when he's healthy. I put this on Twitter yesterday. When is enough going to be enough? I'm okay if they decided it's Cabrera and Peraza and Vivas. Those three are going to get the bulk of the playing time. And I said this the other day, what I'm really getting mad about and irritated is that they keep trying to hype us up. We don't need to be convinced. We've seen enough of DJ LeMahieu. When is enough going to be enough with the New York Yankees? How is it that 4 straight camps have opened up now with Aaron Boone saying the same thing? And you're right. They will go into the next time they talk about third base, they're going to say, well, DJ so far looks good. They said it last year. Then he got hurt. We didn't see him for like a month and a half. And when he came back, he did play. He did play, but he didn't play well. And we're going to get into those numbers in just a bit. But, kind of just to open things up, we aren't happy with the decision. But you're right. What do you expect Boone to say? No manager should ever come out and say, my player sucks. We're not going to use him. He is making $15 million. And that is, like Blaze says, and good morning to Blaze, he's right. What do you expect? The Yankees are going to see what they have in him before they make a decision. So it's an annoying thing and something that we've been talking about for months, and that we don't want to see the guy, but it just seems like they're just set on playing the guy because of the contract. And it's something in the comments the other day was they're married to the contract instead of worrying about the players on the field. And that's the thing. They're paying him $15 million. So I'm not furious, but I'm definitely ticked off because this, again, the same two players we've been yapping about for months now are still available. And we just, unfortunately, we're not going to go into that direction. But kind of that we got that out of the way, do we want to get into these projections and statistics for the guys?
I mean, listen, I don't blame Aaron Boone. He's just doing his job. It's not his fault. This is the team he's got. He's got to pick them up. Well, what other choice does he have? Anyone else in that same position would do the same thing. He's getting paid to big up the options that he has because he can't go out and say we're cooked. He can't say that. He's got his job. If this is the third base situation, he's got to make the best of it. And it's his job to do it. And I'm sure he will. Because Boone's genuinely done a decent job the last year or so. He's done a fine job. So, yeah, I mean, listen, I'm annoyed that we're in this position because we're far too prestigious an organization for this to be the situation for third base. But it is what it is. We take it a day at a time. We never know. Maybe something around the corner is going to pop up, and then the next third base option is going to be, around the corner, and then maybe we'll discuss it then. But as of right now, this is our third base option, so let's get into it.
All right, well, let's start with the one that nobody wants to see, and we're going to block our faces for a second because I'm going to show the graphic right here. We got Mr. DJ LeMahieu himself coming off of one of the worst seasons we've ever seen by a $15 million player. That man hit 204, got on base at a 269 clip, and slugged even less at 259. 2 homers, 26 ribbies, 52 weighted runs created plus. The average is 100. And a negative 0.5 F-WAR. He was a negative player, ladies and gentlemen. So those are his numbers from last year. Now I'm using Zips for the projections because they're probably the most forgiving. So it's kind of like a best case scenario. That's why I'm going to put the Zips projections on here. And they've got DJ a massive improvement considering what he was last year. 244, 324, 339 slash line, 6 homers, 38 ribbies, a 92 WRC plus, and a positive WAR of 1.7. So I'll leave that there for a little bit for you guys to look at. I don't like it. Donald, what do you think about DJ LeMahieu as the third baseman in 2025?
I mean, those projections are extremely optimistic. Let's just say that. So let's get that screen up. Let's have a look at these projections just for a minute. I have to look at them. So you're expecting him to hit 3 times the home runs that he hit last year? On what basis? You expect him to get 40 points on WRC plus? You expect him to overturn 2.5 on F-WAR? Yeah, right. So I mean, Zips is on something. That's not realistic. I think you could probably get a better year than last year. It's hard not to. I haven't seen DJ LeMahieu be good since the second half of 2 years ago. So
yeah, 23.
Right. So I've not seen him good since then. I mean, what am I supposed to expect? Good dude. He'll play great third base. That I can guarantee. He's going to play great third base. Wherever he's going to play, he's going to play great defense. If he's asked to play first, he'll play fine at first. If he's asked to play third, he's going to play great third. So defensively, fine. Offensively, maybe he'll smack a couple of singles here or there. But as an offensive weapon, he's cooked. He's absolutely cooked. It's not a case that he's 25 or just turned 30 where he could probably catch up. it's past that point now. He's on the wrong side of his career. He's in the twilight part of his career, and unfortunately, foot injuries have destroyed his base because he doesn't have any power generated from his legs anymore. So unless DJ LeMahieu is the first baseball player to ever be successful swinging with his hands only, then I'm sorry, I'm not expecting much out of it, and those projections are nonsense. I think DJ LeMahieu's best role would be as the bat boy. No, I'm kidding. No, I think his best role would be as a utility guy. I think someone that's going to go, twice a week and maybe be a defensive replacement, something like that, and play maybe once a week, something like that. He'd be fine doing that. But if you're asking him to play every day, if you're asking him to play in a kind of even in a dual role, then I think it's kind of insane.
Yeah. Getting to some of these comments here. Good morning to Jake Boss. Blaze says 75-win team. They have let down. World Series hangover. Red Sox will take the division. They are more hungry this year by missing the playoffs last year. Well, the Red Sox still have to add a bat before I really fear them. I like their pitching. They've upgraded their pitching, and they were very pesky last year. But outside of Devers and Casas, they don't really have the lineup that I'm afraid of from our pitching staff. But if they got a Bregman, then yeah, that's a real threat. And I think Boston will make the playoffs because they just missed it last season. So that's a good shout from Blaze. I don't know if we'll win 75 games. I think the Yankees will win a lot more than that. But Blaze is very down on the team this year. Sean's saying, "Hey y'all, we need to go acquire Arenado." I wish we did at this point. Certainly wish we had him. What's up to Dev? Good to see you. Dev, hope you're enjoying those cards. He won the giveaway. We'll be doing some more of those as the year goes on, so keep an eye out for the next giveaway. Raziel says a 91-win team, 93-94 if it goes lights out as currently constructed. That's kind of where I have them, like the same as last year, maybe a little bit more if things go better. I do think they're going to win.
I think I have them in their current, because I think was it like MLB or something. I have them on like 87 wins. That's where I'm at. I think they're an 87 win team.
I would think it's a little bit. Those projections are usually low for the win-loss. I don't know why, because they have the Dodgers winning like 90-something. That's a team that could win like 115.
Oh, the Dodgers are going to win 106 games minimum.
Right, so I really can't see those projections being too realistic because for some reason they're always low. Well, let's see what my dad's saying. I can't believe that this mutt is still being considered to be put in this lineup. What the? I guess that's supposed to be an F, is wrong with the Yankees organization. I don't know what's wrong with them. They're married to the guy for some reason, but calling him a mutt certainly is a new word that we haven't thought of yet. Cold Italian Pizza, good to see you. Jake Boss saying Sox should have a good team, not as good as the Yanks. I kind of agree with that one. Sean saying 97 to 100 win team.
No chance.
That's pretty optimistic.
You know what's interesting? Because I'm not sure how married the Yankees are to DJ LeMahieu. They're married to the contract, but like, how married are they? Because Brian Cashman wanted to DFA him last year, but Aaron Judge went to bat for the guy and campaigned to keep him. So maybe it's a case where it's more about friendship rather than anything he can do on the field. Because if Brian Cashman genuinely thought that he had another year in him of great baseball, then he wouldn't have tried to DFA him last year, only to be stalked by the actual GM, clearly, on this organization, Aaron Judge. What a mess. Point.
I mean, maybe they wait and see what he does in the spring. If he has a terrible spring, they cut ties with him because they can't keep playing this game. But I think everyone in the chat will agree that we do not want to see DJ as a starting third baseman. So let's see who else we can look at, because the next most likely option is Mr. Oswaldo Cabrera, who did get some playing time last year when DJ was hurt and he got the starting role. However, the Yankees were looking for a third base upgrade the entire season. They went with John Birdie. He got hurt, eventually acquired Jazz to play second, moved Gleyber to third. Gleyber said no. They said, no problem, Gleyber. We'll give you what you want. We'll get Jazz to play third, even though he's never played there either. Jazz did pretty good. However, he's going to go back to second. Waldo, last season, decent numbers, but again, once he got the playing time and he started to get more and more playing time, you saw those numbers drop. On base below 300, slugging at just 365, 88 weighted runs created plus, and a .9 FWAR. Zips, again, pretty optimistic that he will have a better season with a 1.6 WAR, 94 weighted runs created plus, 11 homers, 46 ribbies, hitting 239, 297. Still not getting that on base up there, though, in a 386 slug. So even though they're optimistic, it's not too optimistic. They're not saying this guy's going to go out there and run away with it, which is kind of concerning because it's basically the same thing for all of our options here.
The Yankees like Oswaldo Cabrera more than they like Peraza.
Yeah.
So they're going to give Cabrera more of a shot. I think if there's a name of the four that we're basically hearing that they really like, I think that's the most likely to get the maybe say 60% of the playing time. I think he's the option that they like the most. He's versatile. He's a good dude. He's a very positive presence. He's incredibly positive, big smile on his face, and he's turning into a bit of a threat from the left side. And he plays very good third base defensively. I don't like him at second base. If the Yankees keep putting him at second base, it's a bad mistake because he can't play second base. I keep seeing it, and I can't keep saying it. He can't play second base, but third base, he's fine. Third base, he's absolutely fine. He's got a decent arm, decent range, and he's fine from the left side. He can't hit from the right side, but he's good from the left side. I think he's a very good option, and I like the guy. Is he an everyday player? Not by any stretch of the imagination. But in a platoon situation, I think he'd be absolutely fine. Nothing wrong with him as a platoon player. And I could totally see him putting up a 240 batting average. But just look at that on base. 290, 296. I mean, I keep saying this. Who's getting on base for this team? But because 296 is not even remotely good. I mean, even those WRC plus numbers, the 88, and even if it's the projected best case scenario 97, is still below average.
Yep.
So, if we're being realistic, it's still a below average option. So I know that people love the guy, and I know that the young fans love him because he's such a good dude, and he's going to sign photos and pictures and be very positive presence in social media. But I only care about W's and championships, and I'm not sure whether he's the guy to do it. He's the ideal platoon guy. He's an ideal guy off the bench, and the Yankees should definitely 100% have a big role for him, but not an everyday role. That's asking for trouble. The best thing they could do: DFA DJ LeMahieu and give Oswaldo Cabrera the job as utility guy, because utility guy is still very important. Just because you're on the bench doesn't mean that you're not going to be a very important player moving forward. Just look at the Yankee championship teams. Back when the dinosaurs roamed the earth, the Yankees had a really good bench that played a lot of games, because you still play 162 games, and the playoffs are exhausting. You need good bench players. John the Beagle Dad brings up Soho. Luis Soho is the best possible example, and there's Luis Vizcaíno. There's other really important infielders that the Yankees have had over the years that have had a very important role. He's one of those guys.
Yeah, Tim Raines was a very important player in those championships. Just the most recent one, Jerry Harrison Jr., ended up being one of the biggest acquisitions they made. One of the only acquisitions they made at the deadline. It was a big one. So I love Waldo as a utility guy. As a platoon player, sure, I think that's his best bet, because, again, we saw it last year. He got off to a red-hot start, but he cannot hit from the right side of the plate. I mean, his splits from left side, right side, it's drastic. The guy cannot hit right-handed or left-handed pitching. He can't hit lefties. He has to go against right-handers. So he'll probably get the bulk of the playing time if they go utility, and he'll go against the righties, and then it's about who wins the battle between Peraza and LeMahieu, really, to be the other platoon
It's
guy.
gonna be LeMahieu.
Yeah, it's going to be LeMahieu. And LeMahieu, guess what? Did not hit lefties either last year. He didn't hit anybody. So for anyone that thinks, oh, LeMahieu can hit lefties, he can't because he can't hit anybody. So Cabrera is going to probably get the bulk of the at-bats unless they add a bat, which I don't think they will. So I think Waldo is probably the top choice here. And again, even with Zips being somewhat optimistic, it's not overly optimistic. Those are still below league average numbers across the board. Not getting on base, not hitting very well. And again, the weighted runs created plus is below league average. So you're not looking at great in-house options here. And Zips is the one that has like the highest projections. Like every other projection, they have these guys pretty low, even lower with the weighted runs created plus, like in the 80s, like kind of mirroring his numbers from last season. So that's why I put Zips, because again, it kind of shows you the best case scenario. If this is the best case scenario, we're in trouble.
Yes.
Because we're looking for a third baseman again. Again, we were looking for one all of last season and they never found one. So I would say Cabrera probably has the lead to get the bulk of the at-bats. It's just figuring out who's going to be the platoon guy. It's more than likely going to be DJ, but could this guy potentially steal it from? We're talking about former top prospect that the Yankees dicked around down to his last option, Oswald Peraza. His numbers last year, he only played 4 games, so that's why I had to put that there. Just to let you know, he only played 4 games, so don't let that 115 WRC plus fool you. He had 1 homer and 1 RBI. However, Zips is thinking if he plays enough games this year, he'll be a better player. A 93, again, below league average, but a 2 F4, so they think he'll be the best option overall. I think his defense really sets him apart from the other guys. 233, 303 on base, 371 slug, 14 homers, 59 ribbies. Donald, I know you and I were both big fans of Peraza. Is this the shot? Is this the time that he finally gets his playing time that we've been so desperately asking the Yankees to give him?
Probably not. That Zips projection, that'll probably be for the Marlins or the White Sox. Let's be honest, because he's a very good player, but I don't think the Yankees want to give him that shot. Because if you read between the lines of what Aaron Boone was saying, who were the first 2 names that came off his lips talking about third base? It was Oswaldo Cabrera and DJ LeMahieu.
Yep.
And then he said, maybe Peraza or Vivas, right? So read between the lines. That's his pecking order. That's the Yankees' pecking order right now. Peraza's 3rd right now in the pecking order. So Peraza's going to have to beat out those 2 guys. Can he do it? Yes. He's a better player than both of them at this stage. In fact, I think he's a better player than Anthony Volpe. But that's an unpopular take, but that's my opinion. I like him more. I think that you're going to see a very good career for Peraza, just not for the Yankees. Because the Yankees are in a really tough spot here, right? Let's just be honest. They're in a tough spot because they've, as you said, they've dicked him around so much that he doesn't have any options left. Okay? So, here's the situation. If the likely scenario that it's DJ LeMahieu and Oswaldo Cabrera coming out of camp and then Peraza's off the bench, right? Then Peraza's got no options, so he's just going to sit on the bench the whole year. So that means that his value will be decreasing. Okay? And then let's just play it out. Then we get to the trade deadline. They make a trade for a third baseman. Who's going to get DFA'd? It's either going to be DJ LeMahieu or it's going to be Peraza.
Yep.
All right? Or they're going to trade Peraza. And who's he going to go to? One of these smaller teams. Right? If he gets DFA'd, the Yankees get pennies on the dollar for this guy, one of the top prospects in the game at one stage. So they've dicked him around so much that they're now in a situation where unless they play him, then they're not going to get much value out of this guy. What a waste. This guy is good. He's got such a good arm. Guy can hit. Guy plays beautiful defense. Absolutely smooth as silk. Oh, chef's kiss defense. And the Yankees, for whatever reason, don't like him. I don't know why. He's always a good dude. He never complains. Whatever shit sandwich that they serve him, he deals with it, and he plays every day down in the minors. I mean, what more can he do? I feel really bad for this guy. So, the other scenario is that next week the Yankees bring in Arenado or Willie Castro or some bench player to come in. Then what's his spot going to be? He's going to get traded. And he's going to get traded on pennies on the dollar because there's not a need for him. So whatever way you look at it, the Yankees have screwed this up royally. And it's such a shame because this guy's a good player. I like him. If I was to choose, he'd be my third base option. In fact, he'd be my everyday third base option. If we're only going to play those four guys, then he's my everyday option. I'm giving him to the summer. He gets everyday playing time through the summer. See how he does. If he doesn't do it, fine. At least we're giving him every single opportunity. Then go and get an upgrade in the summer. If he does do it, then there's no downside because that means that you've now got a young player that you can comfortably put in there on the left side of the infield. There's no downside to playing him every day. I just don't trust the Yankees are going to do it because to comment on, I believe it was Reggie LeGray who says that they're more loyal to the contract rather than production. And it's a shame because I think Perez is a very good player. I just think that he's going to be a very good player for another team. And it's probably going to be like the Marlins or the White Sox or a team that need a third baseman, maybe even the Pirates that maybe could do with an infielder, but don't have the highest expectations for the season, so that they can comfortably let him play every day. I don't think that's the Yankees, but he's the best option. I like this guy. I like this guy a lot.
Yeah, look, they had a chance to play him in 2022, 2023, and last season, and they didn't do it. So, if better late than never, although it should have happened 3 years ago, it definitely should have happened in 2023. Last year, he was dealing with some injuries, but even when he was healthy, they called him up and didn't play him enough. Again, 4 games last season. That's not a sample size that you can say, wow, they gave him a shot. They haven't given him a shot. And this is his last chance because, like you said, they're going to most likely get rid of him if he doesn't play well, and they're going to get nothing for him. I keep bringing it up. Look at Florial last year. They had to trade him for Cody Morris, who got called up for a couple of days and didn't pitch. So that's what you're looking at for Peraza unless he comes out and completely wins this battle. I hope he does. I really hope he does. I love the kid. I was asking for him to get called up 3 years ago. They didn't do it until late in the season. They played him in a playoff game and then said, that's enough. And they went with Donaldson again the next year. And it's just, again, that's a proof in the pudding. The proof is in the pudding. They're married to the contract, not the production, because there's no reason Donaldson should have been the starter in 2023 when they could have went with Peraza. They could have went with the youth, especially that season when they were barely hovering above 500. That was every excuse to play the younger guys. Play Volpe every day. Play Peraza every day. Dominguez, Wells, Pereira should have been, he was to a point even though he was hurt. That should have been their excuse to play all these kids, and they didn't do it. Peraza has not been given a legitimate shot to a point where they've used all 4 of his options already, and he's like 23 years old. He got a 4th option. His kid's 23, and they've barely played him. That is malpractice on the Yankees' part. This is a kid that Hal Steinbrenner himself said the ideal scenario is he and Volpe are the middle of the infield for years to come, and yet the Yankees have treated him. He was a top 3 guy in their system. It was Volpe, Dominguez, Peraza. Whichever order a different site had it. It was either Dominguez, Volpe, Volpe, Dominguez, but Peraza was always right there as the 3rd guy on that list. And the Yankees treated him like every other random 28-year-old utility guy that's just looking for at-bats in Scranton. That is not how you treat a top prospect. I hope he comes out and completely shows out and kind of gives the Yankees a kick in the ass and be like, look what you missed out on. Because he could have been playing every day for the last couple of seasons, and they didn't do it. And I really do feel bad for him, but if they've seen, like you said, Boone mentioned DJ, he continues to mention DJ. Last night on Hot Stove, they're talking him up like he's apparently the second coming of Jesus Christ because He was a batting champion 5 years ago, so we can't forget about that, even though his foot is basically coming off. No, he won a batting title 5 years ago. He'll do it again at 36 years old. Of course he will. I don't know what they're thinking with DJ, but I am praying that Peraza just has a Volpe-like spring from 23 and they have no choice. I want him to win this job. I really, really do. And if they have Cabrera platoon with him, that's fine too, because Cabrera can hit righties very well. But that should be their top two options. It should be a platoon of Cabrera and Peraza,
Yes.
or one of those two just forces their hand to play every single day. I don't know what they're seeing in DJ LeMahieu or what they're trying to convince themselves, because they ain't going to convince me and you and this chat that DJ LeMahieu is the player he once was. They should be going with one of these two options, or the next guy we're going to talk about in a bit if he comes out and wows them. But it's the constant yapping about DJ from them. Nobody else is doing it. It's the Yankee people that are doing this, and that's why we're kind of like, stop insulting our intelligence.
That's what worries me. Because it looks like this is a sustained PR run right now. The DJ LeMahieu tour. Because is not a surprise that we hear that from all the Yankee people. DJ LeMahieu, DJ LeMahieu, DJ LeMahieu. That is designed because the Yankees pay attention to social media. They pay attention to the fact that the fans are not happy that they don't have a third baseman. And they want to try and tell us that DJ LeMahieu is going to have a comeback tour. What's the upside to DJ LeMahieu? What's the upside? He's never possibly going to make up for the $15 million that he's going to get paid. It's impossible. What's he going to do? Is he going to bat 280? You know, what is the upside? He doesn't have two healthy feet. He never has. I don't understand what the upside is.
There is none.
No, there isn't an upside. I don't really understand why they try and peddle this. Other organizations move on. Other organizations go with the upside. I want upside. You know? He can't do it. We're the season is too important. You know, the future is too important. To not go with the upside. The upside is go with a younger guy, right? That maybe might find something. That someone in their mid to late 30s or touching 40, dude, with the wear and tear on his legs and his body, he's closer to 60, let's be honest. I mean, there's no upside there, right? So go with the younger guy. And that's what I find really hilarious about the Yankees is that their narratives are so all over the place. You know what I'm saying? Oh, we're a win now team, but we got to give our kids a chance. But then, actually, we've got a chance to give our kids a chance, but actually, we're going to go with the 40-year-old instead. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, well, what are you? Because at the moment, I just think the Yankees are just kind of stuck in between. So I don't understand it. And the thing is, when you think about it, what would be wrong with having Oswaldo Cabrera and Oswaldo Peraza play every day at third base? Because
Nothing.
You're guaranteed to have youthful energy, hard work,
Speed.
durability. Durability, that's pretty important. And you're guaranteed every single day that you're going to get quality defense, right? But guess what? If you're trying to win a championship, you can't live with an 80 WRC plus, a 75 WRC plus, on a 280 on base percentage. You can't live with that. Why? Because you haven't addressed the power in the rest of the lineup. That's why you can't live with this third base situation. And that's why I'm upset with this offseason. Not because of our third base option, because had we addressed first base and brought in Christian Walker, Naylor, or he who shall not be named, Pete Alonso. Oh no, can't have Pete Alonso. He's a Nissan and his 40 home runs. If you had brought in one of those guys, then third base wouldn't matter. I wouldn't give a flying fuck who plays third base because it wouldn't matter because we're guaranteed an 800 OPS, 100 RBIs, and 30 home runs had we addressed first base. But we went cheap at first base. Now we have to go. Now we're going cheap at third, and now we've got a problem. Do you know what I'm saying? It would be absolutely fine to have this third base situation. No issues had we addressed the power vacuum in the rest of the lineup. But they didn't do it, and that's why I'm unhappy with it. That's why I'm not happy with this lineup. That's why Joe's McFly on Talking Yanks was like, I don't know who we're going to put in the bottom of this lineup. Ugh. He wasn't feeling this lineup, and neither am I. Why? Because we didn't address the power vacuum. If we addressed it in the rest of the lineup like you should have, then this third base situation would not matter. Give it to Vivas, give it to Peraza, give it to Oswaldo Cabrera. I don't care. We're fine. But we didn't do it. Now we're not fine.
Yeah, I mean, look, we said this the other day as well. Had they went, that's why I did a 180 on Christian Walker, because originally I didn't want him. I was like, I don't want to give another contract to a guy that's like 33, going on 36 at the end of the deal, because it might turn out like DJ. But when you look at his numbers from the last 3 years, that's why I did a 180 on him, because I was like, this guy's putting up 30 homers, 90 plus RBIs, 800 OPS, while playing Gold Glove defense, and it only would have cost you $8 million more or $7.5 million more a year than you paid for Goldschmidt. So, but the Yankees didn't want to give up the picks and the IFA money, and that's where I'm just kind of like, you got to stop worrying about that when you're the window to win is now. You're in a win now window. You can't be worrying about signing this 15-year-old kid, even though he's very exciting of a prospect. He's 15, or what if we miss out on another college arm that we're probably going to end up trading in 3 years anyway? You can't be worrying about those things when you're trying to win a World Series. And Christian Walker would have been a hell of a lot better of an option at first. And then you could have, like you said, like we said the other day, in-house options would have been just fine. Platoon of Peraza Cabrera, throwing to Walker, Jazz at second, Volpe at short. The infield is stacked at that point defensively. And you're going to get enough offense from Bellinger and Walker that will probably replace the power left by Soto. Let's be honest here. Walker would hit 30, and Bellinger might hit 30. That's going to replace Soto's power. They're not going to replace the on-base, but that's going to replace the pop and maybe the RBI production that he's leaving. So you want to replace Juan Soto, those are the two options to go and do it while giving you much better defense, and they decided to not go with Walker, and they were this close to getting him too. Like, they were like, so apparently they had him, it was almost done. According to Jack Curry, he had everyone believing the Yankees were going to get him, and they didn't do it. So, again, it's just something that we've been talking about far too long this offseason, and it just seems to be rearing its ugly head.
All right, so you pass on Walker for whatever dumb reason because of the IFA money, then go and get Naylor.
Yeah, and they were in on him too. And
what did it cost to get for Cleveland to get rid of Naylor?
Slade Ciccone.
Oh, fuck off.
That was what the Diamondbacks gave up, so the Yankees couldn't have given them, like, I would have given them Warren.
Yeah.
Even though he's one of our top prospects, I would have given them Warren. Hell, you can have Peraza, too, if you wanted him.
Pereira. Have Everson Pereira. Who's going to win us games this year? Naylor. You go with... What I don't understand is you trade... for a closer for 1 year, you trade for a center fielder who's basically playing on a 1 year because there's an option after this year. You bring in these guys for 1 year, right? You've just signed Max Fried, who's 31. You got Garrett Cole, who's like in his 30s. Got Aaron Judge and Stanton in their prime, but they're not guaranteed to be in their prime forever because they're in their 30s. So you have guys playing on a 1 year, and then you've got guys that are win now guys. And Rajiel's is close 35. I mean, what are we doing here? And so then now you're arguing about what Naylor and some prospects to get Naylor, or you don't want to give up IFA money to get Christian Walker. Like, the narrative is all over the place. It's all over the place. I just want a consistent I just want a consistent narrative from this organization, something consistent, just a consistent plan. You know what I'm saying? If you've got Aaron Judge and Garrett Cole and you bring in Max Fried, then I'm sorry, you're win now. Thus, make the moves to make you a win now team. But if you don't think you can win now, then yeah, you do these band-aids like Goldschmidt at first and DJ LeMahieu at third. You know? That's what I'm saying. It's just like it's inconsistent. It's inconsistent.
It is very inconsistent, and it's very annoying. And what's up to TC and Elliot Spencer? We haven't seen Mr. Spencer in a while. He popped in the chat. He said, definitely want, assuming he means Peraza. He says Piazza, but it's Peraza, to succeed if they give them if you give him a chance. Correction. Yeah, okay. He's got to use the voice to text, so we get what you're saying there, Spence. But yeah, he's right. I hope Peraza gets it. But one more option here that we'll get into, kind of a dark horse, is one of their top guys, prospect-wise. They got him last year from the Dodgers in the Victor Gonzalez trade. Jorbit Vivas, one of our top hitting prospects last season in AAA, hit 225, 347 on base, which is kind of nice. We can certainly use that, and a 366 slug. They don't have WAR for minor league players, at least on Fangraphs, so I had to put his 20 stolen bases, which would certainly be nice in this lineup. 9 homers, 45 ribbies, a 92 WRC+. Not too great, although Zips does think he'll get a lot of playing time this year, which I don't see happening, but they're not too high on his numbers either. An 87 WRC+, and a 1.6 FWAR projected by Zips. So the dark horse here, they did get that fourth option, so I would assume the Yankees are going to use it, but what would you think if Jorbit Vivas comes out there and blows them away this spring and wins that job?
Well, he looks good. Like, he was one of the I like the trade acquisition. I thought it was a steal. I like the guy. But remember when we called him up and we just had him sit on the bench for 24 hours and then sent him back down again?
Yep.
That's what I'm talking about. So when Hal Steinbrenner last month, came out and said, "Oh, we have a proven record with our prospects," I mean, you were lying out of your freaking mouth, bro. Because that's not how you treat prospects. I mean, you don't call up prospects. You waste an option on a prospect for them just to sit for 24 hours on the bench just to send them back down again. I don't. That's what I'm talking about. It's like it's so all over the place. I like this guy. I like this kid. I think he's got a lot of potential. He's got a lot of promise. I think he's probably a year away. If I'm being honest, I think he's probably more likely to be someone who's going to have a strong 2025 in AAA, and then he's an option for 2026 in whatever role. I think he's probably a year away though. But heck, you never know. Spring can surprise you. I mean, I don't think any one of us expected Volpe to have the spring that he had, which won him the shortstop job forever, because he was incredible that spring. You know what I'm saying? So spring can surprise you. So maybe something might happen here with Vivas. I wouldn't be surprised if a dark horse candidate just blows you away. Vivas might be that guy. I think the Yankees are higher on him than Peraza, and I think they'd probably prefer him than Peraza if you're giving them truth serum, because Cashman is more invested in him because he traded for him, and he looked pretty good last year, in a limited role, but I don't think he's quite ready for the majors personally. But as you say, you never know. Things can happen in spring that can surprise you. I'm hoping he's that guy.
I would love to see it. I mean, I know I said I like to see Peraza get the job, and Cabrera I certainly think is going to have a role, but if Vivas stole this job, it would allow them to potentially keep Peraza and Cabrera as utility guys, and there's versatility there. Cabrera can play the outfield if need be. Peraza would be your backup shortstop, and TC they've been tinkering with Lombard. He'll probably eventually move to third base. They love Arias at shortstop, so one of those two is going to eventually move. And I'm going to assume they love Lombard, so I would not expect him to get traded anywhere. And I think he'll be the third baseman when he's not going to be ready for a couple of years. John saying, this is why I'm looking forward to spring. We don't know. Troy he's kind of on the same wavelength. No matter who wins this job out of the current options, we lose. Yeah, it's not a very it's not a great group. As much as I like some of these guys, none of them have.
Isn't that the aliens versus predator tagline? Whoever wins, we lose.
We lose. Yeah, he's bringing up some movie takes there, but yeah, he's right though. Because again, I like Cabrera, I like Peraza, I like Vivas. Unless they absolutely tear it up this spring, like Volpe did, none of these options are really exciting, especially when, like we said just a few moments ago, they kind of whiffed. I don't want to say complete swing and miss. Maybe Goldschmidt does have a good year, but they should have went more in on a first baseman, and then you could have really looked. I would have really looked forward to this third base battle had they had first base settled in for multiple years. I'd have been like, hey, I got something to watch for spring, because usually I don't give a crap after like the first week, but I'm looking at this point. I'm just looking to see who wins this third base battle and some of the bullpen guys. What's up to Fritz? Good to see you in the chat.
Salute. Art Vandelay Industries.
So we've gone through the options here, guys. So I'm going to leave it to the chat here. Give us your answers. Do you think there's a player that wins the job, or do you think that we see a platoon? And if it is a platoon, give us your choices in the chat. Do you think it'll be DJ and Cabrera, Cabrera and Peraza? Is it Cabrera or Peraza? Is it Jorbit Vivas? Or is it DJ LeMahieu? Who is winning this third base job? So, Donald, I'm going to ask you while we get these chat answers in.
I think the most likely scenario is to go with the first two names that came out of Aaron Boone's mouth. That was DJ LeMahieu and Oswaldo Cabrera. I think he wants Oswaldo Cabrera play against righties and DJ LeMahieu platoon against lefties. If DJ LeMahieu gets injured, which he will, then maybe you'll see Peraza. Or more likely than not, I would say the most likely scenario is the Yankees make a small trade for a third baseman during spring training, and then he will be that platoon option against lefties. And then the Yankee PR will big him up because this guy will have good numbers against lefties, and then it will be like, wow, this guy's great. Wow, unbelievable. He's turning it around. Cash God, Ninja Cash comes again. I know how Yankee Twitter works. So it'll be that. And then Peraza will probably get DFA'd or traded for pennies on the dollar. And yeah, call me negative, but I just don't see any other scenario than that. My ideal scenario would be give Peraza the job. I want to see Peraza play every day. Give him a run. If it doesn't work out, then you make a deal. But again, I go right back to the start of the offseason when we didn't pick up Birdie's option. I was like, why wouldn't you? You know what I'm saying? Like, why wouldn't you pick up Birdie's option? It was so cheap. And then now he's someone that gives you speed. You can play the top of the lineup. He gives you phenomenal defense. And he was only for like $3 million or something, right? Why wouldn't you just pick that up? And then you could have just traded him if you didn't have any intentions of using him. But that's a much better option than DJ LeMahieu for $15 million. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, it's so all over the place. And I keep harping all over it. I can't get over it. It's just so inconsistent. The decision-making is so inconsistent. Like, did they plan this, bro? Did they plan this? Because I know the narrative right now is that the Yankees had an amazing offseason. Wow. But did they plan this? Did they plan to go right up to the 301 without a third baseman? Or did something go wrong? Like, I just want to know. Like, obviously they wanted Bellinger. They signed Goldschmidt for the number that they're comfortable with, 12.5, in order to get them up to the maximum of the Cohen tax threshold. Was this their plan all along, or did they lose something along the way? Because I can't imagine why you would let Soto leave and then just leave third base open as an open competition. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Well, Rob, what do you think about that?
It doesn't, because especially when you think about they got Bellinger, and I know the Cubs only ate a little bit of the money, so that took up a chunk of what they would have given Soto. But they only got freed for $14 million this year and next year. So I saw that. I forgot who said it, but they're like the Yankees allocated the money that they would have given to Bregman to Fried and Bellinger. I'm like, that's a load of bullshit because Fried and Bellinger combined make less than what they were going to give to Soto. It's when you add the Goldschmidt signing on top of it that you kind of get around the number they were going to pay to Soto, but they were going to probably get Goldschmidt or Naylor anyway because they had to get a first baseman. So they may have been planning this all along, is to not get a third baseman and just leave it to open competition, which is annoying because they were looking for one all of last season. Like, they had to get John Birdie the day before the season started because they didn't have a third base option when DJ got hurt. And then throughout the entire season, they were looking for a third baseman until they traded for Jazz. And like I said at the start of the show, they wanted to switch Torres to third. Torres didn't want to do that, so they had to put Jazz there. Luckily for the Yankees, Jazz did play a pretty good third base. But he's better at second, so the Yankees are making the right call, putting him back at his natural position. Why are you not looking for a third baseman then? If your whole plan was to have, okay, Boone wants Jazz at second. Let Boone do what he wants. That's a smart decision there by the manager. Why are you not getting a third baseman? At this point, I would welcome Paul DeJong because at least he can play third base, he can hit 20 home runs, and he'd be a far better platoon option than DJ, but they didn't even add one. And we kept hearing, oh, they liked Bregman, or some people said, I know Nightingale said in December they were expected to go all in for him, but then they ended up getting Bellinger, so that kind of put that to rest. There's no indication that they're in on Arenado. Jeff Passan said they never really were in it. Martino said they were never in it. Curry said they were never in it. Some other reporters said they were. Some people still think they're going to get him or thinking that it's close, putting out false information. I really don't get it. If that was their plan after looking for a third baseman all of last season, it does put a damper, and like I've been saying, it really puts a damper on what I do believe has been a good offseason. I like the moves. We said this the other day. I can get with the Goldschmidt move. I like the Bellinger move. I love the Fried signing, the Williams sign, the trade, the trade for Fernando Cruz. I like that they brought in Matzik on a minor league deal. I like that they actually have 4 lefties in camp now after having 0 like 3 days ago. I like that. Everything they've done I can get on board with. It's like I said the other day, the moves they did not make, which is trading for Arenado or signing an Alex Bregman, who's still there, and they haven't done it. And I'm just like, you could really put the final nail in the American League's coffin with one more move. And it's just like they don't want to do it. And if that was their plan, just to make sure they're still the best team in the AL, that's not going all in. That's going, like you say a lot, half pregnant. That's been the term you've used for years now, and it's true. So if that was their plan, to not address third base and go with these in-house options, which if they never mentioned that first name, I would have been like, all right, at least you're going with the youth. Cabrera, Peraza, Vivas, right. They're all young. They got speed, and right. You got something there potentially for many, many years to come. And Stroman's still here. You're right, Raziel. That's the one guy they've been trying to trade. And now this poor guy has got to prepare to play a season on a team that he might not be on for the next 3 weeks. I don't know.
Are you surprised? Surprised? Because you look at the names that are still available in free agency. They're better than him. I mean, Jack Flaherty's better than Stroman. He just recently signed a deal, and it's, to be honest, much more palatable than Stroman's contract. It's not a great contract. And the Yankees, I know that they're trying to pretend that they aren't desperate to trade him. But let's be honest, unless another organization is entirely stupid and want to lose their jobs, there's really no reason to take on a lot of Stroman's contract. The Yankees are desperate. They know it. The Yankees have a hard cap. They know it. Other teams are not stupid. They've got analytics systems. They've got a ton of analytics, right? Other teams that don't have the resources that the Yankees do, they make up for it with excellent analytics. That's how you get more parity in baseball. That's how it happens. Now, I'm not talking about the joke organizations like the White Sox, but by and large, the mediocre organizations, they find a way of balancing it with the Yankees because they might not have the resources that we do, but they've got a better analytics system. So their analytics system will be looking at Stroman's numbers going, well, this guy can't pitch the second half of the year. His numbers are traditionally terrible. Second half of the year. It's been like that for 2-3 years now. Plus, he's got a really nasty 140 innings bonus due that I don't want anything to do with because I could go to free agency and get someone that has maybe a little bit, doesn't have the name, but probably I can acquire that's cheaper, that's guaranteed not to collapse second half of the year and doesn't have an 140 inning nasty bonus that I need to pick up. That's why the Yankees haven't traded him yet. And it's that's it. It's as simple as that. Honestly, I would fire myself if I was the GM of another team and I took on Stroman's contract, the majority of it, because the Yankees need to get enough money freed up in order for them to get a third baseman, right? We know it as podcasters, right? Then I'm pretty sure GMs of other organizations who are paid millions to do the job will know that too, right? The Yankees might lie and they might send out PR saying that's not the case. That's very much the frickin' case. That's very much the frickin' case. So I'm sorry, that's why Stroman's still here. It's nothing to do with Stroman as a dude. Stroman as a dude, great dude. Stroman as a pitcher, he's a fine pitcher. There's nothing wrong with him as a pitcher. He's okay. But you have the choice of a dozen or so names in free agency that don't have that 140 nasty bonus coming up. That you're going to go with that, where you can manipulate a contract to work for you rather than taking on someone else's nasty-ass contract, which you signed up for that you shouldn't have done last year. That's the situation that we're in. So again, I don't blame Stroman. And it's not really the Yankees' fault that they can't move him because it's not a very nice contract anyway. And the pitching market is a mess. And I would hope that my front office would have foreseen that. You know what I'm saying? Because honestly, us as a podcast could have foreseen that last year. You know what I'm saying? Like, normally when there's a superstar free agent that's available, the market tends to shut down while we wait for that superstar free agent to sign, right? And then after that, there's usually a period where it takes a while to pick up again because we've already seen it before. This is the new trend in the baseball free agency under Manfred. We've seen this time and time again. What happened with Ohtani? What happened with the Yamamoto sweepstakes? When this now Soto, after that, there's a lull in free agency for a long period. That's because there's not a lot of teams that actually want to spend any money. And you actually get penalized if you do spend money, i.e. the Yankees wanting to get Christian Walker, but then get scared away by the penalties of IFA. So we've been through it. We've been through it again. We've been through it again. I don't blame other teams not wanting to get Stroman, pick up that nasty ass contract that he's got, because you can get better ones available in free agency as we speak. So it's going to take a while to trade him off. So really, it's the Yankees' fault for not having a third base option that they want at this stage. And then to lie and say that, they don't have a hard cap is complete shit. They do. It's absolutely obvious to any team that is paid to know their job. So I don't buy the nonsense. I like Stroman though, and you can't do worse as a sixth option. He's a fine sixth starter when you need an emergency starter, and someone's going to get injured because just the way baseball is. And he's someone that you want as a fifth starter. I'm not saying he's a bad pitcher. It's just it's a bad contract.
Yeah, that vesting option is really what's preventing anyone from getting him right now, because I'm guessing the Yankees don't want to pay off any of it. That's my guess, because if they were willing to eat some money off of that next year, then a team would probably be like, all right, we can do worse than Stroman for one more year at $13 million. Let's say the Yankees eat $5 million each year. I'm sure there'd be a move there, but it's the Yankees probably getting stingy that they don't want to pay off more of the contract next season, which the Yankees playing this money game, and that's why teams are like, why would we help you out? That's the thing. Why would any team, and you're right, why would any team, knowing the Yankees need to get this deal done so they can get under the threshold, why would anyone want to help them out? They're like, no, you're going to eat a certain amount of money if you want us to take this player from you. And you're also going to eat money next year, because if that option does kick in, we're going to have to pay him again. And so are you, because the Yankees are probably not going to want to pay that vesting option. It's a mess they put themselves in.
Mm-hmm.
And it should not be the thing that's preventing them from getting a third baseman. I'm sorry. They're at 306 now, depending on what Matzek's going to make if he makes the roster. You're telling me you can't push that up, especially if the Cardinals are willing to eat the money on Arenado. You can't push that up to 320 again just to get Arenado for this season. It doesn't make sense to me. And you can't push it even a little bit further to get Bregman, and then you can then go ahead and trade Stroman. Like I said, if you're able to save $10 million on Stroman for this year and next, it's going to cancel out some of that money you'd have to give to Bregman. I don't get it, and I don't want to keep repeating myself, but I do want to get into a couple more comments before we wrap it up here, because Fritz Art Vandelay does bring up a really good point. They only faced the deadline forced to spend big on a good third baseman. Suddenly, they needed 3 quality bats while not willing to give up trade chips. Hopefully I'm wrong. Prefers signing. Yeah, he prefers signing, not trading. Every season, they rely on the deadline instead of spending. And he's right. And TC follows it up. Don't count on the trade deadline. They have been horrible the last 2 years. Outside of Jazz last year, deadlines have been really, really bad. Let's see what Troy's got to say. He likes the moves minus third base there, or lack of a move there. I understand they don't want to overcommit to center field and first base, possibly with the intention of filling those roles with Jones and Murakami. Yeah, but again, we can't be worrying about next season. I get what he's saying, because I really do think they want Murakami, but they can't be focused on next year and be like, screw this year, because the window gets shorter and shorter. Exactly, and that's the point right there, TC.
I agree, TC. I mean, I echo what Rob said in the last podcast that we did. I believe it was Monday's show. I feel a little bit let down that the Yankees are like this. As a fan, I really do feel a little bit let down. You let Soto go, fine. Well, not fine, but it is what it is. But the options they brought in, none of them are actual long-term options. So they haven't really addressed it. And I feel let down as a fan that you let a superstar, as great as I've ever seen play for the Yankees in the modern times, go, and you didn't even bother to put in a long-term option, and you've got one sitting there in a position of need, and they're crying about a 300 tax threshold. And then you've got their PR merchants, like the voice of the Yankees, saying, well, why should they pay any more than 300? And then you've got fans that are like gatekeeping their budget. Oh, well, it's Hal's only income. I don't care. That's not my job as a fan to care what Hal Steinbrenner's income is. It's not my job as a fan. My job as a fan is to give my all as a fan. And we give a lot of money, man. We pay a lot of money to 6,000 apps to watch the Yankees play 162 games. And if you're international, or if you're outside the tri-state area, you fly, you pick up the air miles to go and see the Yankees, Or if you live in the tri-state area, it's still expensive to travel, to park, to buy chicken buckets, to buy Aaron Judge jerseys for $200 a pop. And it's expensive to go to kind of, big kind of games where it's like the Subway Series. I went to one of the Subway Series games in the summer. It was $100 to sit at the very, very, very top, right near the freaking floodlights. That's where I was sitting for $100, and we lost like 14-5. And you know what I'm saying? It's just like we pay extraordinary amounts to watch our team, to love our team, which Yankee fans do, and our thanks for that kind of like for paying $3,000 a pop to watch them in the playoffs every single night at Yankee Stadium right through the playoffs. And our thanks for that is this at third base, DJ LeMahieu. That's our thanks. I do feel let down as a fan. I really do. Oh, you're ungrateful. We just got Max Fried. Yeah, cool. What about third base?
Yeah,
you know,
you're right. No, you're
I
not
do feel
wrong
let
at all.
down. I really do.
I'm with you, right? I'm with you on that. I understand that you don't want to pay too much, but if you look at the last like 10 World Series champions, they've always been a top 10 team spending wise. Dodgers last year, they're about to hit 400 million because they're going to get Kershaw back. They got Enrique Hernandez or Kike. They got him back, and they're at like 385. So they're not worrying about it. The Mets aren't even really worried about it. They're at like 320 something, and they're about to go higher because they still got some moves they need to make before it's all said and done. You look at Texas Rangers when they won a couple of years ago. They had a high payroll, and that's what they're worrying about now, but they're not in the situation the Yankees are. The Yankees make money hand over fist. Like you said, the buckets, the tickets, the jerseys, the hats. Look at me. Look at my fucking room. You know how much money of that probably went to the New York Yankees? So like, they have money. I'm not going to worry about if Hal Steinbrenner has to add an extra $25 million to his payroll. Oh no, he can't eat dinner tonight. Of course he can. Yeah. The Hal Steinbrenner is going to be living. The Steinbrenner family is going to be living comfortably for a very, very long time.
You have stakes in AC Milan soccer team. They have the NYCFC play at Yankee Stadium. You know, I go to Yankee games and I see the freaking white chalk marks where they play soccer, which I don't think it should be at Yankee Stadium, but they're doing it in order to make money. They're getting $15 million from the Rays this year to play at Hal Steinbrenner Field. You can't put that $15 million into a third baseman to go get me Bregman.
The patch, Star Insurances, or whatever it's called, Stark Industries, they get $20 million from that.
Right.
So,
what was that dumb logo that they had on the baseball helmets?
That's
the
just
baseball
a
had to wear through the playoffs.
That was all baseball. Strauss, that German brand.
Strauss, give me a break, man. You get tons of money for playing baseball, and they get tons of money from all these apps. Mm-hmm. Hal Steinbrenner making you pay for the Yes Network, and then
they get paid for that too.
And then what's the new one? Gotham Sports app, and then what's this next one? And there's Apple Plus, and then Prime, and then YouTube, and fucking your mother. I mean, what else do you have to pay? Jesus.
Yeah, and hopefully we have some more clarity on a third base situation in the coming days, but we'll be certain to keep an eye out for this position battle and see if the Yankees are going to make any other moves or if they're going to stand pat. But spring training just got started. Even though we're not too thrilled about this third base position, I still am excited that baseball is back, and we will be back on Friday, hopefully with Uncle Tats, to break down some projections, because I like doing this. I like the projection stuff. I like to break down this roster, and we'll probably start with the outfield. I think a little teaser for Friday's episode, kind of get into some player projections for the 2025 season, starting with the outfield bats. So we'll get into that on Friday morning at 10 o'clock. So that is going to wrap it up for us here at the Pinstripe Chronicles. As Uncle Tats always says, wear those pinstripes of pride and play hard.